Hi everyone, welcome back to ByteRipple. In today's lesson, we'll be looking into HTML comments, one of the best practices you want to adopt as a software developer or a web developer. So without any further delay, let's dive into the details of this tutorial. HTML comment allows us to add notes inside our code that are ignored by the browser. They help explain our code or temporarily hide sections without deleting them. I think before now, you should have seen me do this while I'm creating some web pages or writing some program on our VS Code. So what comments actually does is it has different functions, okay, but most programmers see HTML comments as a way of documenting your program, which is also a very important aspect of programming. But basically, comment, as I've read here, is a way of keeping notes inside our code, and by so doing, those notes are not reflected on our web page. So it could be a reminder, it could be a way of saying that this is what you are yet to do, or you could have a to-do section comment on your program. So why does it matter? Comments matter in programming because it creates accuracy, credibility, and efficiency. So when we have a comment in our program, we have a little error, which can lead to wrong conclusion or broken functionality. So without having comments on your program, there might be inaccuracy in your code, or somebody who is reviewing your program might be lost, maybe later or in the future. So it also creates credibility, that is, attention are drawn to the very last detail of your program when you create a comment while writing a code or writing your program. It also helps in fixing mistakes early in order to save time. Programmers will say, if you create a comment in your program, you will thank your future self because you will not have to struggle too hard in order to understand what you've done. So basically, this is why a comment matters in programming. So these are some of the key examples where you could have comments in our program. So comment helps to explain our code section. It also leaves a reminder for us to review later. Okay, temporarily it helps to disable some part of the program we don't want to work on. And finally, it helps to document different versions of our code, and also as there are some times that you really have to show that you are the sole owner or developer of a particular section of the code. You just have to put your name there, which we refer to as authorship of program. So these are the key or few examples or scenarios where we can use comments in our program. And some examples are also here for basic comments, for adding notes to our program, for documenting information in our program, also for commenting out code, as I've explained earlier. In our demo, we are going to be reflecting some of these examples and how it really works in real programming interface. Now I'm on my desktop as usual. By now you should be able to know how to get yourself together or work around opening VS Code on your computer. So I have the VS Code on one side of my computer, on my screen rather, and the other I have the open browser. So I just right click here and open the live server to reflect what we'll be working on. So to start with, let's start with the very first few examples of how we write comments in programming. So we should start with a comment that actually explains your code. Let's say for instance, let's say we want to create a navigation bar in our web page. So we start by writing a comment like this. So how you do it, you do control okay, control and /. Okay, let me do it again. So you just do control / on your keyboard, control /, then you write whatsoever comment you want to write. But now we are looking at an explanation of a particular code or a particular section of our program we want to work on. Takes for instance, let's say we are creating a navigation bar, then we write navigation bar starts here. Okay, and now we can now continue with creating the nav bar. So to create the nav bar, we simply write nav. That's another tag that we have to learn in the future. So we use this to create our nav bar, and now you can write whatsoever thing you want to write, or with whatsoever program you want to write with respect to navigation bar here. So that's the first example. The second example will be on temporarily disabling our program. Let's say we want to, let me write a comment as usual, control /, then you say temporarily me am I typing? Is it my typing or what's going on? Disable code. Okay, so let's temporarily write a program here. Let's say we are writing a p tag. By now you should know a p tag. Then we'll say we are temporarily disabling this paragraph. Okay, now we want to temporarily disable this paragraph. Now we can see the content on the web page here, which is a paragraph on our web page. But now we want to temporarily disable this particular program, maybe because we are not ready to work on it, or there are still some things, some program we have to write before continuing. So we can temporarily disable it by just control /, and now we see that this particular content is disappeared from our screen. So that's for temporarily disabling our code. And the next one will be on to leave a reminder on our code. Let me uncomment it again. So still uncomment, just to control /. So to leave a reminder on our code. So let's write a comment on that. And it should be between this. Okay, leave a reminder for our code, or for others or ourselves. Okay, so we can simply just control / again. And no, before we do control /, let's just say we want to leave a reminder. Then we can just say, okay, maybe I'm creating a p tag again. I love this p tag, so I'll just say to do, and that will be, let's say I want to add a footer here. Don't worry about that footer. Footer is also a part of web page development section. We add the web page next here. Let's say next here. So now I've written this. This is just like a documentation or a reminder. So I don't need to enable it because it's enabled, so I can see it. It is reflecting on my program. I don't want this. I don't want it to reflect on my program. I want to disable it. So same way, you just do Ctrl// and it's disabled. So, and those are the basic HTML comments that we use on our web page, and you'll be using either of these in as you move on in your programming journey, because it's very, very important. When you write a code, somebody will want to read it, so you need to really give a nice comment so that when I'm reviewing your code base, it's easy for me to understand what you are doing and what you are yet to do, not just for another person, even for yourself as you're learning. Okay, so, and that's where we'll wrap it up for today. In our next session, we will dive in, like I mentioned, into HTML styling, and I will see you in the next class. Thank you. Before we go, I have a challenge for you. So you will have to create a comment section about your favorite food, hobby, by following these 3 simple tasks, like adding a comment at the top of your HTML file with your name and date, followed by commenting out a paragraph. I mean, maybe one or two paragraphs from your program, so as to see how it works in terms of how to see what happens when you comment out a particular section of your program. And also you have to do like add a to-do comment by reminding yourself of a particular section of your code that you have to work on later. Okay, I think if you remember, this was one of the examples I gave when it comes to writing a comment. Finally, today we have been able to see what HTML comments are and how it helps organize our code. It helps us leave comments and temporarily hide elements in our program. They make actually our code more readable, maintainable, and easier for collaboration on larger projects or even minor projects. And like I said, programmers will usually say that if you write a good comment, you will always thank your future self if you are to refer back to your old program. I hope to see you in the next class. Keep coding, keep learning, and God bless.